"If you teach her to speak again, I'll give you everything," cried the CEO. But the janitor did it. Olivia stood quietly at the far end of the company's polished hallway, the soft glow of the overhead lights casting a warm golden hue over the sleek floors. Her sharp, determined eyes never left the small figure ahead, her daughter, Ella, standing beside James the janitor. Olivia's heart clenched as she took in the scene. Ella, a little girl of 5, with her curly hair catching the light, smiling and laughing, a sound Olivia had not heard from her daughter in months. James, a man dressed simply in worn jeans and a faded shirt, crouched to Ella's level, a small baseball cap in his hand. With a playful grin, he placed the cap gently on Ella's head. "Look, Ella," James said in a mock-serious voice, "this is the magic cap. Anyone who wears it becomes a superhero who makes everyone laugh." Ella's eyes widened and she giggled, a soft, sweet sound that seemed to fill the entire hallway with light. She reached up to adjust the cap, her laughter growing as James made silly faces and pretended to fly around her. Olivia's breath caught. She had watched Ella retreat into silence after the accident that took her husband's life, a silence that seemed to swallow all hope. But now, watching her daughter laugh freely with James, something deep inside her stirred. Stepping forward slowly, Olivia's voice trembled but held firm. "James," she said, catching his attention, "if you can teach her to speak again, I will give you everything I have." James looked up at Olivia, his warm eyes steady and kind. "Olivia, I won't lie. It won't be easy and I can't promise miracles overnight. But I will do everything I can to help Ella find her voice again." Olivia nodded, fighting back the tears threatening to spill. "Ella hasn't spoken since the accident," she whispered. "Not a word. It's like she's trapped in her own silence." James smiled gently. "Sometimes the heart speaks before the voice can catch up." Ella's laughter just now, that was her heart opening a little. Ella tugged lightly at Olivia's hand, breaking the moment. Olivia crouched beside her daughter, brushing a stray curl from Ella's face. "Ella, do you want to tell Mommy what you're doing with James?" she asked softly. Ella looked up at her mother, eyes bright, but no words came. Instead, she pointed toward James and smiled shyly. Olivia sighed, feeling both pride and sorrow. "It's okay, sweetheart," she said, hugging Ella close. Okay. We're going to find your words again, together." James watched the exchange, his heart heavy with understanding. He had seen too many silent children like Ella, broken by tragedy but capable of healing with the right care. "I want to help," James said quietly. "Ella doesn't need to speak to be heard. I'll show her, step by step, that she's safe to express herself." Olivia's eyes glistened as she met his gaze. "I trust you," she said, "more than anyone else right now." James nodded, determination shining in his eyes. "Thank you. We'll take this journey one day at a time." As James reached into his pocket and pulled out a small folded paper airplane, he handed it to Ella. "Here, Ella, let's fly this together." Ella took the airplane, eyes wide with curiosity, and with a little help from James, she threw it gently down the hallway. Olivia smiled as she watched the paper glide smoothly across the polished floor, an innocent symbol of hope and freedom. Later, Olivia sat alone in her office, her mind replaying the moment. Her life as a CEO had always been about control and power, but now, she realized, some battles were fought with patience and love. If James can bring Ella's voice back, Olivia thought, then maybe we can all heal. She glanced at a framed photo on her desk, a picture of her late husband holding baby Ella, both smiling under the soft sunlight. Her throat tightened. "We have to find a way," she whispered to herself. Back in the hallway, James sat quietly beside Ella, who was now drawing shapes on a scrap of paper. "You're doing great, Ella," he encouraged. "Every little step counts." Ella looked up, her eyes meeting his. Though no words were spoken, a silent understanding passed between them. A fragile, new connection built on trust and hope. Olivia watched them from afar one last time before turning away. her heart filled with a complex mix of fear and fragile optimism. For the first time since the accident, she dared to believe in a future where Ella's silence could be broken and where love might heal even the deepest wounds. The memory hit Olivia like a sudden storm. The crash, the screeching tires, the shattering glass. It was a cold night a year ago when the accident took her husband's life and stole her daughter's voice. The image was vivid in her mind. The twisted wreck of their car, the flashing lights of ambulances, the hurried footsteps of paramedics. Olivia's world had collapsed in that instant, leaving her alone with a silent child who once filled her life with laughter. Ella had survived physically unscathed, but the trauma had wrapped around her like a heavy cloak. She retreated into silence, refusing to speak a word since that night. Doctors called it selective mutism, a protective shell her young mind built to guard against the pain. Olivia, a powerhouse CEO by day, found herself helpless in her new role as a grieving mother, struggling to balance the demands of her career and the emotional needs of her child. Some days she felt like she was barely holding on. The boardroom's polished floors and the company's towering glass walls were a stark contrast to the fragile little girl who clung to her hand. The weight of responsibility pressed down on her, a crushing reminder that she had to be strong, not just for her employees but for Ella. In the quiet moments after the chaos of the accident had faded, Olivia had reached out for help. Therapy sessions, specialists, speech therapists, they all offered promises, but none seemed to break through Ella's wall of silence. Meanwhile, miles away from the corporate world, James lived a very different life. Once, he had been a rising star in the art community, a young painter with vivid talent and dreams as large as the canvases he worked on. His hands, once delicate and precise, created worlds full of color and emotion. But fate had other plans. A workplace accident had injured James severely, damaging his right hand and ending his career as an artist. The loss was devastating. The vibrant future he had imagined crumbled, and he found himself adrift, taking the only job he could find, janitor at a large office building. Yet despite the shift, James never let go of his passion for art. He sketched whenever he could, quietly nurturing the spark that had once lit up his life. James held on to a dream, not just for himself, but for children like Ella. He believed in the healing power of creativity, the way art could reach places words could not. When he met Ella, he saw not just a silent child, but a soul yearning to express herself, trapped by fear and sorrow. One evening, Olivia sat in her dimly lit office after a long day. The phone rang, breaking the silence. It was James. "Olivia," his voice was calm but sincere, "I know what this loss feels like. I've been where you are, watching someone I cared about fall into silence after tragedy. I want to help Ella find her voice again, not with empty promises, but with patience and heart." Olivia exhaled slowly, the tension in her shoulders easing a fraction. "Thank you, James. I don't know what the future holds, but hearing that means more than you know." James paused before replying, "We'll take it one step at a time, and remember, sometimes the smallest victories are the ones that change everything." Olivia hung up, her heart a little lighter. The path ahead was still uncertain, but with James's understanding and her own fierce love, she felt ready to face it. Later that night, Olivia found a worn sketchbook tucked away in a drawer, left behind by James one day. Opening it, she saw delicate drawings of children playing, of bright colors bursting through darkness. It was a silent testament to the man who, despite his own losses, was determined to bring light back into Ella's world. As she closed the book, Olivia whispered, "Thank you, James, for seeing what no one else could." The first few days after Ella's chance meeting with James were filled with tentative steps and quiet moments. James knew that words wouldn't come easily to a child who had locked herself inside a fortress of silence. Instead, he relied on what he knew best: art, movement, and gentle patience. In the softly lit hallway where Ella often spent her time, James would set up small art stations. He arranged colorful papers, crayons, and simple shapes for Ella to explore. One afternoon, he sat beside her with a small sketch pad, using quick, fluid strokes to draw a little bird taking flight. Without saying a word, he pointed to the drawing, then to Ella's eyes, encouraging her to make a connection. Ella watched carefully, her brows furrowed in concentration. James animatedly mimed the bird soaring, flapping his arms wide. Ella's lips twitched in the faintest hint of a smile. Encouraged, James took a crayon and drew a smiley face on a piece of paper, handing it to her. Slowly, Ella's fingers curled around the crayon and she traced the lines hesitantly. Olivia watched from a distance, her heart pounding. She had never seen Ella this engaged or this happy since the accident. It was as if James's presence was gently coaxing her daughter out of the shadows. One day, James decided to try something new. He drew a simple sun and a stick figure waving. "Hello," he said softly, raising his hand in a wave. Ella stared at him for a moment, her dark eyes wide and curious. Then, to James's surprise, she lifted her own hand and mimicked the wave. "Good job," James whispered with a proud smile. Later that afternoon, Ella surprised everyone. As James waved again, she quietly uttered a soft, barely audible hello. The word, though small, was like a spark igniting a dormant fire. Olivia, who had been standing nearby, gasped softly, tears welling in her eyes. "Did she say it?" Olivia's voice trembled. James nodded gently, trying not to overwhelm her. "Yes, she did. That's just the beginning." For Olivia, that moment was a milestone. Years of fear and heartbreak suddenly felt like they could be overcome. She stepped closer, cautiously reaching out to hug Ella, feeling her daughter's tiny arms wrap around her. James watched the scene unfold, a mixture of relief and determination swirling inside him. Though his own past bore heavy scars, the career lost, dreams dashed in a single moment, this was his chance to make a difference, to use the lessons of pain and resilience to help someone else heal. He thought about the journey ahead and the responsibility now resting on his shoulders. "I can't fail them," he silently vowed. "Ella deserves to find her voice. Olivia deserves to feel whole again." James spent his days balancing between janitor duties and these moments of quiet triumph, each smile, each whispered word a testament to hope. He was no longer just the man who cleaned the floors. He was a guardian of possibility. Olivia's faith in James grew with every interaction. She began to see him not just as a janitor, but as a healer, a man who, despite his own trials, offered her daughter a lifeline. In the vast, polished halls of her empire, amidst meetings and decisions, James's simple acts of kindness reminded her of what truly mattered. Their worlds, so different yet so intertwined, started weaving together. Ella's laughter became a gentle melody that softened Olivia's heart and gave James a renewed sense of purpose. And so, the fragile thread of trust was woven, stitch by stitch, through crayons, gestures, and whispered hellos, setting the stage for the miracles yet to come. Olivia sat at her sleek, glass-walled office, the city skyline glittering beyond the windows, but her mind was miles away. The relentless pressure of managing a multi-million-dollar company had always been intense, but lately the scrutiny from the media about her personal life was suffocating. Rumors circulated about her late husband, about how she managed as a single mother, and more painfully about James, the janitor who had become an unexpected presence in her daughter's life. She glanced at her phone, scrolling through headlines hinting at scandal, insinuations that James was more than just a helpful stranger. It made her stomach churn with unease. That afternoon, during a brief respite between meetings, Olivia walked quietly down the company's long corridor. From a distance, she spotted Ella laughing freely with James, their faces close as he told one of his silly stories. Ella's head rested comfortably against his shoulder, and James's eyes sparkled with warmth as he gently ruffled her hair. It was a tender moment, so natural, yet it stirred a complicated storm inside Olivia. Her breath caught. A sharp pang of jealousy gnawed at her. Why is she so comfortable with him? Olivia thought, her voice almost a whisper in her own mind. I'm her mother. I should be the one who makes her laugh like that. The thought felt both irrational and painfully real. She stepped back, watching silently as the two shared an unspoken bond that Olivia felt slipping away from her. The mother in her wrestled with the woman who was used to control and success. The tension tightened her chest, and a wave of vulnerability washed over her. She realized she was scared of being replaced in the most sacred part of her daughter's life. Later, in a moment fueled by exhaustion and emotion, Olivia confronted James in the hallway. Her voice was colder than she intended, sharp with an edge of pain and frustration. "Do you realize who you are to my daughter?" she demanded, her eyes searching his face for an answer. "You're not her mother. Don't cross lines you don't understand." James looked at her, his expression steady but tinged with sadness. "Olivia," he said gently, "I'm not trying to take her place. I just want Ella to feel safe and happy, that's all." The raw honesty in his voice made Olivia's anger falter for a moment, but the hurt lingered. She turned away, feeling a mixture of shame and confusion. For days, Olivia withdrew emotionally, grappling with her insecurities and the pressures of her demanding career. She replayed moments in her head, Ella's laughter, James's quiet attentiveness, and realized she had to confront more than just her fears about James. She had to confront her own fears of inadequacy as a mother. One afternoon, Olivia noticed Ella sitting alone, her small frame trembling with silent tears. The child's distress pierced through Olivia's armor. She sat beside her daughter, pulling her into a comforting embrace. In that quiet moment, Olivia understood the cost of her own emotional distance and the unintended toll it had taken on Ella. With newfound resolve, Olivia sought out James. They met in the company's small break room, away from prying eyes. Olivia's voice was softer this time, laced with vulnerability. "I've been scared," she confessed. "Scared of losing my daughter, scared that I can't be everything she needs. I'm sorry for the harsh words. I want us to work together, for Ella." James nodded, a warm smile breaking through the sadness. "I respect the bond you share with Ella. I would never do anything to harm that. We're on the same team." Their handshake was more than a gesture. It was a bridge rebuilt from fragile trust. That evening, Ella clung to Olivia, overwhelmed by the tension she had sensed between her mother and James. Tears spilled freely from her eyes, breaking the dam of her silence. Olivia held her daughter tightly, feeling the weight of her promise to protect and heal. James watched from a distance, hope flickering anew. The barriers between them had begun to crumble, not just for Ella's sake, but for all of them. The tension eased. Olivia felt lighter, her heart opening to the possibility that together they could navigate the complex journey ahead. And in that fragile truce, a new chapter began. The days that followed were marked by small victories, gentle progress, and an unspoken determination shared between Olivia, James, and Ella. The once silent little girl began to respond in ways that filled the space around her with fragile but growing hope. James had developed a routine blending play and art therapy, using colors and stories to coax Ella's expressions. Each morning, he would arrive early at the company, setting up a small corner in the hallway with drawing materials, puppets, and picture books. Olivia would bring Ella to this quiet sanctuary before starting her day, her gaze hopeful yet cautious. "Ella," James would say softly, "show me what color you feel today." He would hold up crayons, pointing to the reds and blues, encouraging Ella to pick one. At first her fingers trembled and hovered uncertainly, but gradually she would grasp a crayon and make tentative marks on paper. Olivia observed these sessions with a mixture of awe and nervous anticipation. The tension that had once filled their home began to ease as Ella's eyes brightened more often, and the corners of her mouth lifted into genuine smiles. One afternoon, as golden sunlight streamed through the tall windows, James sat cross-legged on the floor, showing Ella a picture of a mother holding a child. He pointed at the woman in the image, and then at Olivia. "Who is this?" he asked gently. Ella's gaze shifted from the picture to Olivia, then to James. A faint sound escaped her lips, a soft, hesitant, "Ma." James leaned in slightly, encouraging her without pressure. "Yes, that's right, Mama." Ella repeated, a little louder this time, "Mama." Olivia, who had been standing nearby, froze, her heart hammered as tears welled in her eyes. "Ella?" she whispered, stepping closer. Ella turned to her mother, her voice trembling but clear. "Mama!" The word hung in the air, fragile yet powerful. Olivia rushed to her daughter, tears streaming freely as she embraced her tightly. "Oh, Ella, that's the most beautiful sound I've ever heard," she sobbed, her voice thick with emotion. James watched the reunion, a deep swell of joy filling his chest. The moment was more than just a milestone. It was a miracle born from patience and love. After Ella's first word, progress quickened. She began to form simple words, guided by James's calm encouragement and Olivia's constant presence. They celebrated every syllable, every smile, every small attempt at communication. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Olivia and James sat in the quiet hallway after Ella had gone to bed. Olivia reached out, taking James's hand in hers. "I don't know how to thank you," she said softly. "You've given my daughter her voice back." James smiled, his eyes reflecting a mix of pride and humility. "It's not just me. It's all of us. Ella's strength is what carried her through." He paused, his voice growing reflective. "Helping Ella find her voice. It's given me a purpose I never thought I'd have again. After losing my own dream of being an artist, this feels like my second chance." Olivia nodded, squeezing his hand. "You've brought light back into our lives. You've saved us both." As weeks turned into months, Ella's world expanded. Her laughter became more frequent, her words clearer. The silence that once consumed her was slowly replaced by a chorus of sounds, whispers, giggles, and eventually conversations. The bond between Olivia and James deepened as they navigated this new chapter together. Their shared joy in Ella's progress forged a connection that transcended their different worlds. And through it all, Ella's simple but profound first word, "Mama," remained a beacon of hope, a reminder that even in the darkest moments, miracles are possible when love and patience guide the way. The warmth of Ella's newly found voice had not only brought joy to Olivia's heart, but also opened a door to something she hadn't dared to hope for: love. Slowly, like a tender vine weaving its way through a stone wall, affection blossomed between Olivia and James. Their connection deepened beyond the shared mission of helping Ella. It became a partnership rooted in mutual respect, understanding, and genuine care. They spent quiet evenings watching Ella play, laughing at her innocent antics, and sharing stories about their pasts. James would sit beside Olivia in her office late at night, talking softly about dreams long shelved and hopes rekindled. Olivia found herself drawn to his simplicity and strength, a stark contrast to the corporate world she navigated daily. But beneath the blossoming romance lay a complicated history James rarely spoke of. In one of their late-night talks, he finally opened up. "My family, they never understood me," James confessed, his voice tinged with sadness. "When I lost my ability to paint, I lost more than a career. I lost their support. They saw me as a failure, someone who settled for less." Olivia reached out, squeezing his hand. "I'm sorry. But you've shown incredible courage, James, and you've given Ella and me more than words can say." James smiled faintly. "Thank you. I don't regret choosing to stay in this building, even as a janitor. It's here I found you and Ella. It's here I found hope." Despite their deepening bond, the outside world was less welcoming. Olivia's family, accustomed to her high status, struggled to accept James. Whispers of disbelief and disapproval followed them, especially from her older brother, who viewed James as unworthy. At a family gathering, Olivia's brother didn't hide his disdain. "Olivia, you're risking everything for a janitor?" he said sharply. "You should be aiming higher." Olivia's jaw tightened, but she stood firm. James has been there when I needed him most. He's part of our family. Friends, too, expressed concern. Some worried James might not handle the pressures of Olivia's world. Others whispered about the social gap between them. James felt the sting of judgment, but never let it dampen his resolve. He understood the challenges, but believed love could bridge any divide. One afternoon, walking hand in hand with Olivia and Ella through a bustling park, James stopped and looked into Olivia's eyes. "We can't hide anymore," he said quietly. "It's time we faced everything openly." Olivia nodded, her heart pounding but her voice steady. "I'm ready. For us, for Ella, for whatever comes." The decision to go public was met with mixed reactions. Media outlets caught wind of their relationship, some applauding the unlikely couple, others casting doubt. The couple faced scrutiny but stood united. Olivia leaned on James's steady presence, and James drew strength from Olivia's unwavering support. Together they held a small gathering with close friends and family, where Olivia formally introduced James as her partner. Her words echoed sincerity and love. "He's not just the man who helped my daughter find her voice, he's the man I want by my side." James, humble yet proud, expressed his commitment. "I promise to always support Olivia and Ella, through every challenge and joy." That night as they watched Ella asleep, their hands intertwined, both felt a profound sense of peace. They knew the road ahead would be difficult, but their love was a fortress, built on trust, shared pain, and the unshakable bond forged in the quiet moments of healing. Their journey was no longer just about survival. It was about building a family, breaking barriers, and proving that love, indeed, could conquer all. Olivia stood confidently at the podium in the sleek conference room, the gaze of the board members, executives, and reporters fixed on her. The tension was palpable, far more intense than any business meeting she had faced. Today was not about profits or quarterly results. It was about family, love, and defending what mattered most against relentless scrutiny. In recent weeks, the media frenzy around her relationship with James, the janitor who helped her daughter Ella find her voice, had spun wildly out of control. Tabloids questioned James's intentions, mocked the unlikely bond, and cast doubt on Olivia's judgment. Rival companies seized the chance to destabilize her leadership with rumors designed to shake investor confidence. The pressure was immense. Taking a deep breath, Olivia's voice rang clear and steady. "I stand here not just as your CEO, but as a mother," she began. "My daughter's journey from silence to speech is nothing short of a miracle. It was made possible through the kindness and dedication of James, my partner and the cornerstone of our family." Murmurs rippled through the room, some skeptical, some moved. "James's role goes beyond job titles or social status," Olivia continued. "He represents the values this company cherishes: integrity, compassion, resilience. Today I defend not only my family, but these values that unite us all." She paused, then addressed the whispers swirling beyond these walls. "I know about the rumors and the attempts to discredit our story, but fear and prejudice will not dictate my family's future or this company's direction." Behind the scenes, James listened via live feed, pride and gratitude swelling in his chest. Together, they were not just confronting public opinion, they were challenging societal barriers. Reporters pressed Olivia with tough questions. "Harris, how do you respond to claims that your relationship with a janitor undermines your CEO status?" one asked sharply. Olivia met the question head-on. "My relationship is built on love, trust, and commitment. It strengthens me as a leader and mother. I stand firmly by my family and the values we represent." Determined to shift the narrative, Olivia organized a charity event called Voices of Hope, dedicated to raising awareness and funds for children with speech disabilities. The elegant evening featured art exhibits, heartfelt testimonials, and performances by support and love. James played a vital role, pouring his passion into the event. His artwork, rich with stories of struggle and hope, was displayed alongside Ella's colorful drawings, a testament to love's healing power. During her speech, Olivia spoke with conviction. Families come in many forms. What binds us is not status or wealth, but the willingness to love and support each other through adversity. This event celebrates voices once silenced and the brave souls fighting to be heard. The audience rose in applause, their response a powerful counterpoint to the critics. Later, amid glowing candles and soft music, Olivia and James slipped away from the crowd, their hands finding one another in quiet strength. "We've come so far," Olivia whispered, eyes shining. "Yet the real fight is just beginning." James nodded. "We're stronger together. Whatever comes, we face it as a family." The event's success marked a turning point. The company rallied behind Olivia's leadership, investor confidence returned, and public opinion shifted from scandal to inspiration. Weeks later, Olivia and James exchanged vows, not in a grand chapel, but in the quiet intimacy of their home, surrounded by Ella's laughter. It was a declaration of love, resilience, and unity. "Together, we are unstoppable," Olivia said, voice trembling with emotion. "This family, built on trust and hope, will weather any storm." James kissed her gently. "I will stand by you and Ella for all our days." Their journey, once marked by tragedy and silence, had blossomed into a testament of courage, love, and unbreakable family bonds. Olivia and James proved that true strength lies not in wealth or status, but in standing together, protecting each other, and fighting for what truly matters. The holiday season wrapped the city in a shimmering embrace of twinkling lights and festive cheer. Inside their warm, inviting home, Olivia, James, and Ella shared a peace that had once seemed impossible. The shadows of past tragedies had lifted, replaced by a hopeful glow that filled every corner of their lives. Months of hard work and unwavering determination had culminated in the launch of the Voice of Hope program, a community initiative dedicated to supporting children with speech disabilities. Olivia, driven by her own journey with Ella, led the program's efforts with passion and vision. James contributed by organizing art workshops, blending his love for creativity with a heartfelt mission to heal through expression. Ella, once silent and withdrawn, now thrived in this nurturing environment. Her laughter filled the rooms, and her small voice grew stronger with each passing day. She was no longer a child trapped by fear, but a beacon of resilience and joy. On a crisp winter evening, the family gathered for the program's annual holiday celebration. The room was adorned with delicate lights, ribbons, and the soft scent of pine. Children and parents mingled, sharing stories of progress and hope. As the festivities reached their peak, Ella stepped onto the small stage, clutching a microphone with shy determination. Her eyes found James in the front row, and with a smile that lit up her entire face, she began to sing, a simple, heartfelt song dedicated to her father. Her voice, though young and tentative, carried an earnestness that silenced the crowd. Tears glistened in Olivia's eyes, and James's chest swelled with pride. This moment was more than a performance. It was a testament to the journey they had all endured and the love that had made healing possible. After the song ended, the room erupted in applause, but the true celebration was reserved for the family's private circle later that night. In the quiet intimacy of their living room, under the soft glow of Christmas lights, James reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. Olivia's breath caught as he opened it to reveal a simple, elegant ring. "Olivia," James began, his voice steady but full of emotion, "you've given me a family, a purpose, and a love I never dreamed I'd find. Will you marry me?" Tears welled up as Olivia nodded, her voice breaking softly. "Yes, James, 1,000 times yes." Their embrace was tender, filled with promises of a shared future. In the days that followed, Ella delighted in telling stories about superheroes, stories she wove herself, casting her parents as heroes who had saved each other. Her imagination blossomed, a symbol of the freedom she now felt. Meanwhile, Olivia's niece, Emma, contributed her own form of creativity, painting a vibrant portrait of the family. The canvas was alive with color, Ella's laughter, James's strength, Olivia's warmth, all intertwined in a masterpiece of love. The holiday lights outside twinkled like stars, reflecting the joy and healing inside the home. Each flicker was a reminder that even after the darkest storms, light could return, stronger and more beautiful than before. Together, Olivia, James, and Ella stepped confidently into their future, bound by love, resilience, and the unbreakable ties of family. Their story was no longer defined by loss or silence, but by hope, renewal, and the endless possibilities that lay ahead. Thank you so much for joining us on this deeply moving journey of love, resilience, and healing. Olivia, James, and Ella's story reminds us all that even in the face of unimaginable loss, hope can be found, voices can be restored, and families can be rebuilt stronger than ever. If this story touched your heart and inspired you, please subscribe to Soul-Stirring Stories for more real-life tales that uplift, heal, and remind us of the power of human connection. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss a story that warms your soul and renews your faith in love and second chances. Until next time, keep believing in the magic of healing and the strength within you.